Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Today is supposed to be clean house day. I'm at home today, and well, that was my project for today, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not anytime soon, anyway. We will get that done later. First, I need to do a quilt project. As we're getting started with this block, you guys stop, take a minute, and vote for the best quilt shop in the state, which is So Charming Quilt Shop in Clanton, Alabama. We would appreciate your vote. We would love to be the best in the U.S., and we would love to be the best in the state of Alabama. If you can vote for us, we would appreciate it. The voting is at lqscontest.com/vote. I'll put that in the description below so you can have a direct link to it. And really, it only takes about a minute. You just need an email address, and that is all. It has a place where you can fill out question or answers, like why you think we're the best quilt shop. You can fill that out. You don't have to. If you don't have the time, don't worry about it. But we do love seeing what you guys say and why you like us so much. We appreciate that, and they are fun to go back and read. So we appreciate that. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to vote for us, and you'll never know how much it means to us to read all your comments and to receive your votes. So thanks again. Now let's get started with our project. It is one that I've been meaning to do, and I haven't, and the whole month of January has almost slipped by me. So I'm doing this, and when I get done with this, then I'll go clean house. Quilting comes first. But our project for today is the Kona quilt for the block of the month 2025. This one is going to be a super fun quilt. They are headlining their solids and showcasing them through this quilt, and it is going to be fun. What it is this whole pack has all the cards for each month. They sent one charm pack for each month, and we'll use one charm pack, some background fabric, and this pattern to make the block of the month. We'll have extra in our charm packs, which we'll use at the end for our border. So don't worry when you've got a lot of charm pack pieces left over. Now, that being said, this quilt pattern sold out really fast. We tried to get more. We sold out fast. We tried to get more, but they had sold out all over. So there are no more to get. And Kona themselves, Robert Kaufman, has sold out of this. And I asked if I was able to do these on videos, and the answer was yes. So I am going to do these on videos. These patterns will be free patterns, and that's what we're going to be working on. So if you didn't get in on time with the charm pack sets and all of this, don't worry. You can use scrap fabrics or charm packs that you find. However, and it doesn't have to be, they don't have to match because it's a a sampler. So you could use anything. You could use scrap pieces and put them together to make the charm pack size, or just whatever. There's lots of varieties of this if you didn't get in on this when it was available. So now let's get started. This quilt pattern shows it in two variations: the white background and the black background. I typically do a lot of white background. So I am branching out, and I am going to do black. Now, when I went to market and I saw this and I signed up for it and all, what I saw was the white. And it is beautiful, beautiful when it's quilted up. However, I am venturing out. I'm going to do the black. I know it too will be just as pretty. Look how pretty that is. It will make those colors pop. So I'm going to venture out. I'm going to try black. I hope I don't regret this. I don't think I will. That's what I'm doing. You do whatever you want to do. It would be pretty with lots of different colored backgrounds, but mine is going to be black. So let's get started. Each month of these cards, they have a month. So right now we're working on January. So I'm going to take the January, and I'm going to pull it out and put the rest of them to the side. I'm going to take these, and I'm going to pull out the January, which is this one, and I'm going to put the rest of these to the side. I don't need them till next month. So what I've got are these two things right here. And then I'm also going to need some background fabric. Now, I'm going to do these videos each month. I don't know when I'll be doing them. I'll probably do them quicker than once a month, I'm hoping anyway, so that nobody's waiting on me. I will put them on a playlist, and so if you are a month behind me or whatever, you can go through that playlist and you can find the video you're looking for, and then you can keep up with it if you wish to do this with us. Now, let's get started. According to this pattern, we need one piece of our background that is cut 6.5 inches wide by the width of the fabric. Then you're going to subcut them into 6.5 inch squares. You'll need 4 of them. So I've got 4 6.5 inch squares right here. I'll do the same thing. I'll get another cut of a 4-inch strip of the background fabric, whether yours is white or black, whatever. So I've got 4-inch wide, and then I need 1 strip of that cut. Then I'll subcut those into 8 4-inch squares. So I've got 8 squares that are 4 inches wide, 4-inch squares. I've got those. Then I've got the charm pack that it required. And what I'll do is I will open this charm pack. I'm not going to need them all. We're going to use part of them as the border at the end of the quilt. So this is where variation, if you did get this kit before it sold out, this is where variation will occur. This has a lot of different greens in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through and pick some out. We're going to pick 8 charm squares and cut them down to a 4-inch. This is a 5-inch square. So we're going to pick 8 and cut them down to a 4-inch square. We're going to pick 4 and cut them down to a 3.5-inch square. So first I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to pick out the 4 that I want to use in my block. I've gone through these and I've picked out these 4 that I want to cut down to a 3.5-inch square. And then I've picked these 8 just randomly that I want to cut down to the 4-inch square. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to set these to the side. I'm going to start with this 4 stack, and I need them cut down to 3.5-inch squares. So I'm going to line them up, and I just picked them randomly. I don't know what it's going to end up looking like or where these pieces are going to go just yet, so I just picked random pieces. So now I've got them lined up, and I'm going to cut them down to 3.5-inch squares. These are my 4 that I need 3.5 inches. So I've got me a 3.5-inch ruler. It's 1, 2, 3, and then the half. So I'm just going to place it along this edge because I know I've lined them up right. And I'm going to cut them at 3.5 inches. Sitting down is a little harder to cut than standing up. Probably should have stood up. So I did that because then I've got bigger pieces right here, and you know how I love scraps. So this will go into probably a strip quilt that I'm still working on. So that's why I did it from the corner instead of straight in the middle. If I did it in the middle, I'd have smaller pieces, and I didn't want that. So there are my 4 5-inch charm packs that I've cut down to 3.5 inches. I'm going to set them to the side. I've got this stack that have the 8 charm packs in them, and I need to cut them down to 4 inches. Now I'm not going to do this whole stack at once. It's too many to cut at one time. So I'm just going to stack a couple up, line them up pretty good, make sure they are lined up, and then I want them down to a 4-inch square. So here's my 4.5-inch ruler, and I'll line it up like this. So this orange edge of my ruler will go off of it because I don't want 4.5, I want 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where I'm going to cut these because I do want them to end up to be 4 inches. Those are over here. Line the rest of them up. It's probably enough. Do the same thing. Cut it to a 4-inch square. Take the last ones and again do the same thing. And now everything is cut to size. Now we are ready to start the next process. The next step is I'll have these squares that were 4 inches. So I'm gonna put these other pieces to the side. I've got 8 here and 8 here. So I'm gonna take one of these and one of these. So I've got my background, which is either white, black, whatever color you chose, and then my charm pack square, and I'm gonna line them up. I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm going to draw a line diagonally across it in pencil. And what I'll do is I'll take this to the sewing machine and I'll sew a 1/4 inch on each side of this. I'm going to do one just to show you what I'm talking about, and then we'll keep going.
Explore over 100 new products at the All About New event at Shoppers Drug Mart.
This Easter, discover the irresistibly smooth texture of Lindor mini eggs.
When I do the rest of them, I'll be chain piecing. But hold on. So this one, and then I'll move the camera so you can see it better. So I've got these two pieces, the background and the charm pack. I've got the line drawn across it diagonally. I've sewn a 1/4 inch on each side. Now I'm going to take my ruler and put it back at that line, and I'm going to cut down that line. The line that I drew, I'm cutting on. Now I've got 2 different half square triangles made into squares. So now I've got these. What I'll do here is I will iron them open. Once I iron them open, they will look like this. And at this point, I'm going to need to trim them down. And let's see what the pattern says to trim it down to. I think it was 3.5 inches. Let's see, trim to 3.5 inches and repeat with all the rest. So you'll have 16 total. So I'm going to take that 3.5 inch ruler that I had, and the way I'm going to do this, I'm just showing you this one. I'm going to do the same thing with all of these. So we'll see it again in a minute. I've got this square and I need to break it down into a 3.5 inch square. Right now it's closer to, it's a little over 3.5. So what I'll do is I'll take my ruler. This is the 3.5 inch ruler. I'll lay it on here. It's got a diagonal line across the middle of it. I hope you can see that, this line right here. I'm going to line that up with this seam. And then I'm going to take it and just trim around it. Then I'll turn it, line that ruler back up, and then I'll trim down these 2 sides. And what I'm left with is a 3.5 inch square made up of the 2 triangles. So I'm going to do that for each one of these sets. And then we'll move to the next step. So there's my second one. Now when I ironed them, I did starch them. So you don't have to, but I did. So that's what those are. Now we'll set those to the side. I'm going to do the same thing with these. now we're ready to cut them into 3.5-inch squares like we did before. I'll take this line it up with this, and we will cut them down to 3.5-inch squares. Now when I was ironing, I ironed to the dark side, which in my case was black. If you chose white as your background, then you're going to choose to iron towards the charm pack color. But since my darker print was the black, that's where I pressed to, or towards. So I'm going to do this until all of these are 3.5 inches, and then we will go to the next step. Once they're all squared up to 3.5-inch squares, we're going to take 4 of them, and I'm going to pick 4 different ones just randomly. And then my black, remember, is a typical white. So if you're doing white, then this part will be white. Your whites will form together like that, and then together like this. So you should have a triangle of white at the top and a triangle of white at the bottom, or black, whichever way yours is, and it should look like this. Now we're going to sew this together into a square, just like we do all of our other pieces we've done in the past. I'm going to take this one and lay it right side together on this one, and I'm going to stitch it at 1/4 inch. Everything's 1/4 inch seams. Then I'm going to take this one, put it right sides together right here, and sew it down that side at 1/4 inch. Then I will cut them apart and iron them open. So what you'll have is 2 pieces that look like this, and then you'll put them with the white on the top and the white on the bottom, and it's going to look like this, or the black on the top and black on the bottom, whichever way yours is. Then I'm going to sew this together by putting this right sides together on this. For this one, I'll break my pins out, and I will line that seam up, meet it at the top. You'll want one seam pressed this way and one seam pressed this way so that they'll nest together well. Then I'm going to pin these just so they don't wiggle. And I'm going to stitch down this line at 1/4 inch. Once I get that done, take my pins out, open it up, I'll iron it, and I'll starch it. You don't have to starch it, it's a preference thing. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but this one I did. So now my block is done for this one. I'll put it to the side and I'll do it again with all the rest of them. I'll just pick one random here. Maybe this one. There's 4. There's 4, 4, 4, 4. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did here with these sets as well. Once you are done making this unit, you've got 4 of them. They're pressed, they're ready to go. So I'm going to put those to the side. What it leaves me with are these. These I don't need yet, so I'll put those back to the side. This is what I need now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make a 4-patch. So I've got 4 pieces left over, 4 of these little squares that are 3.5. I'm gonna take them and arrange them however, which I like this arrangement, so that's what we'll go with. I'll put these, just like we did in the past, right sides together, stitch down this line. Then I'm gonna take these 2, right sides together, stitch down this line, again, 1/4 inch. Once I've stitched them, I'll cut that thread. I'll cut them apart. And what I'm gonna do now is iron them open. I'll want one seam going one direction and one going the other. So I've got one seam going to the right and one seam going to the left. Then I'll take these 2 right sides together, line that seam up, bring it to the top, and then I'll line these up, pin them at the ends, and then I'm going to stitch down this at 1/4 inch. Once that's stitched, take my pins out and I will iron this open. And I'm still pressing. I'm still spray starching. You don't have to if you don't want to. But I am. And there is my 4-patch. Now we're ready to put our block together. We've got one piece that looks like this. We've got 4 pieces that are 6.5 inch background fabric. And then we've got our 4 pieces like this. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with this block in the middle, this one. Then we're going to take this one, and the black will be on top and bottom, or your white. And your black will be on top and bottom, again, or your white. Then you'll take these, and they'll be on the sides, and these will be on the sides. Then you'll fill it in with these black squares. Here, again, unless you're white square, black square, navy, whatever your background was, that's what'll be here.
Changing your baby is easy until it isn't. New Pampers Swaddlers 360 has a stretchy waistband for easy changing as babies grow, so nothing gets in the way of this. New Pampers Swaddlers 360.
72-hour odor protection with just 6 ingredients isn't a myth.
Panned it out just a little bit so you can see it better. So that's what your block is going to look like. We are just going to take one block at a time and do like we've done in all the other blocks. Put it right sides together, stitch down here 1/4 inch. When we get that done and pressed open, we'll add this one, and then we'll add these, and then we'll add these. So I'm going to push these to the side, and I'm going to stitch this one. Make sure I've got it lined up good. And I'll stitch it 1/4 inch. Then I'm going to iron it open. And it looks like that. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to put it right sides together right here, and I'm going to stitch over here. And now my top row is done once I iron this open. So there's my top row. I'll set it up there, come back here, Now these blacks were supposed to be on the sides, so I'm going to stitch them together like this. Put them right sides together, line them up, and stitch down this side. I'll iron it open. And then I'll do the same thing here. This black will be on the sides right here. So I'll flip this over here, stitch this at 1/4 inch, and I'll line these seams up. And stitch down this side. And once it's ironed open, there's my middle row. I'll have strings all over it. I'll put those strings as I go along. Now this one, the black was supposed to be on the top and the bottom. So I'll stitch this one to this. Cut my thread. Iron it open. And now I've got this piece to add, so I'll flip it over, line it up, stitch 1/4 inch, now I've got it. Once I iron this open, I've got my 3 rows. And here they are. My top one, the background piece should be at the top and the bottom. The second one, the background pieces should be side to side. The last one, the background pieces should be top and bottom again. Meaning this triangle is at the top, this triangle is at the bottom. So now I'm ready to sew these 3 rows together. I'll take this one, the middle one, flip it onto this bottom one, and then I'm going to match my seams and pin it. Pin this edge to keep it lined up. Match these seams and pin it. And then match this edge and pin it. And now I'm ready to stitch 1/4 inch all the way down this side. Make sure it stays lined up. Thread, iron this one open, and that's what it looks like. Then I'm going to take this one, flip it right sides together on this one, and do the same thing. I'll line my seams, pin it, pin this end over here. Sometimes I don't pin the ends, but this one I do because it's such a big piece. And I don't want it wiggling. I don't want it moving at all. Now I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch down this side. Again, make sure it stays lined up. Now I've got my pins pushed back into it far enough to where my needle's not going to run over them. So I'm not running over my pins. Now I'll cut that thread. And iron this side open. And what I'm left with is a very large block. There's my block. I've got strings all along it. I'll get those out and cut them as I go. But there's my block. And we need to square it up. This block should finish at 18 by 18. So we're going to go over to the cutting table and we are going to square this up. This block is supposed to measure 18 inches squared. It's a little bit over on each. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a sliver off of this side. Then I'm going to rotate it all the way around to where the side I trimmed was over here. And I'm going to trim a little bit off of this side. It's still a little big, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do these other two sides. I don't want it lopsided, so I'm not going to trim all off of one side. Then I'll turn it the other way. Trim a little bit off of this side. Let's see what I've got now. I've got it a little taller than 18, and a little bit wider than 18. So I just need to trim just a tad bit off each side again. Let's see. There, that side is 18, that side is 18. Now I need to do with these sides. I don't have much to trim off, but I want to make it even because I don't want this block lopsided. Turn it back the other side. And now this way is 18. And this way is just a tad bit over 18. Now, what we've got is an 18-inch squared block. So we will leave this like this, put it to the side, and work on our next one as we go along.
New Paradise Big Deal Mascara. Endlessly buildable length and volume that doesn't clump. That's a big deal.
Embrace the crispy, fluffy circle. Eat the crispy, fluffy circle. Eggo waffles.
Now we're finished with our January block. So this is what it should look like. Again, it's 18 by 18. We're going to fold it up neatly and put it to the side until we are ready with the other blocks to put these together. So I have got mine folded like such. And I'm going to put it in that set with all those charm packs so nothing gets lost. These are all of my extra charm pack squares. I told you would have a lot of them. So these are what we're going to use to make our border later on. Don't get rid of these. Don't do anything else with these. Just put them also with this block in that set. Now we are done with January. In a few days or so, I'll probably go ahead and do February's, and then we'll keep up with these each month and have them finished. I'm probably going to go a little quicker than, or that's my hope right now, than January to February to March, so that if someone else wants to do it a little faster, then they can keep up and not have to wait for the beginning of each month to work on their block. I hope you enjoyed this block. I know I did. And we are going to have a big quilt when we are done, and I cannot wait to see this. I am not used to using black or a dark background, so I am trying something outside of my comfort zone, and I'm sure it's still going to be beautiful. Work along with me if you want. If you have any questions, contact me, ask questions below. We will help you in any way we can. I'll put links in the underneath this video for anything that I've used in case you need it or you're looking for it or whatever. But if you need help, let us know. And well, that's all I got. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Also, vote for the best quilt shop in the state, which is So Charming Quilt Shop in Clanton, Alabama. We would appreciate your vote. Until next time, have a great one and happy quilting.